Hello and welcome to this vlog for the 49th auction here at Scotch Whisky Auctions. Big Peatrie back with you again to take you through some of our highlights, some of the interesting bottles that we have in this auction, and give you an idea of the depth and quality that we've got. And once again, as of last month as well, we had a record-setting auction, 3,300 lots. This one here is our third ever biggest auction with over 2,800 lots in it. And once again, the depth and the quality in this auction is incredible. It's exceptional. We're really chuffed. We're pleased. We're excited about this auction, and hopefully the bottles here will give you some idea of what we've got, and I can take you through because there's themes again, and we'll get you an idea of the incredible whiskies that are available for you to bid on. Now, first up, we have an old Fitzgerald here in this lovely decanter. It's an old Ironside. Now, the Ironside's named after the ship that was one of the stalwarts of the fledgling US Navy. And this one was distilled in 1965 and bottled in 71. And those of you that know your history of bourbon, 1965 is a very sad year for bourbon because that was the year that Pappy Van Winkle unfortunately died. We also have some other bottles from previous to that here that will be distilled under the guiding hand of this great giant of bourbon. So some really good lots to look out for there if bourbon is your thing. If you are interested in Ardbeg, this month is great for Ardbeg. It's the 200th anniversary of Ardbeg, and we have over 200 lots on the site. This one here is the Manager's Choice, and it's a single cask bottling, and it was distilled on the 24th of November 1976. We actually have 4 bottles that were distilled on the 24th of November 1976, but they were put into different casks and released at different times. Now, these single cask bottlings really did help just rocket Ardbeg up into the stratosphere for that incredible peatiness, that quality, that depth that they're known for. And this is one of the more sought after ones, the Manager's Choice. In terms of sought after, both by blenders and by drinkers, Mortlach is right up there. With its crazy 2.81 distillation process, its lovely big, rich, meaty style. And we love this particularly because it's from Cadenheads. We love Cadenheads, the oldest independent bottler in Scotland. Now, we call these the wee dumpies. Now, we love these wee dumpies from Cadenhead. And this one was distilled in 1957 and bottled in 79. So 22 years old. So it's a very different feel from previous ones and for the Mortlachs that you'll get today. Absolutely cracking bottle there. Now, next up, we go a bit further back than 1957, and we go back to 1937. This bottle of White Horse, one of the most well-known blends in the world, of course. And in 1937, you're expecting to see some of the finest spirit produced by Lagavulin and also the elusive malt mill in this lovely old blend that really did set the bar for how they should be made and looked after the quality of the whisky inside those bottles. Now, next up we have one of my personal favourites in this auction. There's a couple of really wonderful things about this lot. First of all, it's from 1934. This was from Stoddart's, and it was bottled for the 1934 Chicago Expo. So it was exported. And now we all know the rules about whisky, so it has to be 3 years in the cask. So this means it wasn't distilled in 1934. It's before that. Now, you've got to imagine that they've got a few whiskies in there that are older than 3 years, maybe getting closer to 10. So some of the whisky in this was probably coming from the 1920s. One of the things I love most about this is there's a wee description on the bottle and on the box as well that says harmless colouring added. So at least they're being upfront about it, that the E150 has been added. A fantastic fill level for a lot of this age, and it comes with this rather nice box as well. So from 1934. Next up we have Macallan, and it's from 1940, and it's 37 years old. These wonderful old Macallan bottlings, a real chance to see why Macallan has become one of the premier distilleries in the world. The quality that they were producing way back then has continued, and it's just an absolutely cracking dram. Next up, excuse me for that, there's Smiths of Glenlivet. Now, you don't see much Glenlivet bottled independently. It's one of the world's biggest selling single malts, and in fact set the precedent for the longest Glen in the Valley. Everyone wanted the Glenlivet name. This one was distilled in 1960 and bottled in 1973. So a real chance to try 12-year-old, and especially after the age statement has disappeared recently, a really old style of Glenlivet. Now, this was also from the 1960s. This is Glenmorangie, or Glenmo, you might know it as. And this is quite an interesting bottle because it's the first one that they put a vintage on. So this is 1963. It's 23 years old, and the first 22 years were in American bourbon barrels, and the last year was in Oloroso sherry. So this is the first one that they finished. So this makes it a very interesting and quite a historic bottle of Glenmorangie, because Glenmorangie really have become the sort of masters of finishing whisky, but this was the first one that they did it with, was in an Oloroso cask. The last, but by no means least, we have a lovely bottle here, and this is the Black Bowmore, a bottle that needs very little introduction for its incredible quality. It was distilled in 1964 and bottled in 1994. This is the second edition, and it's bottle number 421. An absolutely stellar jam, and I'm not been fortunate enough to try it myself, but those that have say it's one of the finest whiskies that they've ever drunk. Now, these ones here, I said, are representative of what we have in the auction. We have several bottles from 1930. We have a really good collection from the 1950s. Lots from Ardbeg. Lots of independent bottles, really exciting, different ways to look at distilleries that maybe you've not seen it before because you've just had the official bottlings. We've got old, wonderful heavyweights like Macallan and Mortlach. We've got different ways of looking at the classics like Glenlivet, and the big ones that really have set quite a precedent and have a cult status among collectors and drinkers alike. Once again, I cannot urge you enough to get in, have a look around at when the auction goes live at just how many wonderful whiskies we have in this auction. So with that all said, there's very little more for me than to say, Scotch Whisky Auctions, don't lose your bottle.